All right. So last week we talked about the um, momentary concentration. That this momentary concentration, they are important in the development of vipassana. And Kanika Samadhi, the momentary concentration. So as I said, that this Kanika Samadhi, as long as you have mindfulness, then this Kanika Samadhi will progress, develop together with the mindfulness. The stronger the mindfulness that you have, or the more continuous the mindfulness that you have, your Kanika Samadhi will develop together with it. But the nature of this Kanika Samadhi is that you don't have to worry too much about it when you are in the beginning of your practice. But when you are in the later, more advanced stages of practice, then it is, it is important for us to understand it, because this samadhi, this concentration, they can go to bit too much, and sometimes it can tense up the yogi. It can create some too much calmness into your yogi, that the yogi cannot able to do the noting. Yeah. So therefore, it is important for us to able to balance that concentration. If not, it will be a hindrance, in the sense that it can make the calmness then later go into a sleepiness, drowsiness, or go into upakilesa. Then we get attached to all the calmness. So therefore, in the beginning part, as I said, you don't have to worry too much about it. It's only when the later part of the development, then it is important for us to notice it more. But then in some talks ago, I also mentioned that when wisdom, about when mindfulness develops, then you have to develop together with the wisdom. But this nature of this wisdom, they are not by default, it arises. It is not like concentration. When you have mindfulness, you have that concentration. But when you have mindfulness, it does not necessarily you have that wisdom factor or the penetrative factor of the mind. So you must learn how to develop them, and in order for the deeper insights to arise, to the deeper insights to arise, you cannot just leave it like that. You leave it just like your meditation. You thought that just meditate, when you're mindful, everything is okay. No, it is not enough for vipassana. It is enough perhaps for the everyday type of, the worldly mindfulness practices, the various therapy that you may go through, the various type of overcoming some problem or mental problem, this and that. Or if you have some degree of mindfulness, sati, in that everyday life, then it's good. It is wonderful. But it cannot go further anymore. Right? But in vipassana, it's different. Vipassana is not only mindfulness, we have to develop the wisdom factor. We also must know how to develop them. And when wisdom factor is developed, then only the mindfulness is continuous. Without that wisdom factor, then that mindfulness is not strong. Mindfulness is fragile. it's easy to be overcome by its all the different hindrances. Then of course your noting mind will collapse, and your hindrances will take over. Therefore, your progress will stop for that time. So you must able to understand and also able to know how to develop that wisdom factor in order for the insight to arise. In the practice of vipassana, when you develop, when things are smooth, things are clear, the forefront of the meditation, the forefront of your noting mind is that wisdom factor. The mindfulness will take its behind, supporting that wisdom factor. Whereas when you come into samatha practice, then the concentration is at the forefront, then the mindfulness is at the behind. That's why when you do samatha practices, you find that this is more calming, more peaceful, more, then you notice that it is, and then you notice that it is coming. Nevertheless, also there are some degree of wisdom in the samatha practice too. Not that they have, but not as prominent in the vipassana. Now, in the vipassana practice, the wisdom factor, as in the noting mind, they are at the forefront. But the concentration, mindfulness, they are the background. Therefore, when in a vipassana, when we experience pain, when we experience unpleasantness, tension, pulling, hardness, things like unpleasant, then although the mind can able to notice them clearly, and yet if the mindfulness is not running here and there, the mind is not running here and there, you can able to stay with it, stay with the unpleasant sensation, for example, and you can stay with it. You can able to scrutinize what is going on. So that is important for vipassana. So the forefront of the noting mind is the wisdom factor, the penetrative factor of the mind, the thoroughness factor or thoroughness factor of the mind. So therefore, we must know how to bring about that wisdom factor, and especially in our vipassana practice, because finally this Four Noble Truth that we are talking about, it's about enlightenment. It's about getting out of this cycle of birth and rebirth. So we must know its means, is how to develop them, and so on. Now before we go into that, let's take a look at our right view also. Because the last time when we talk about maybe 2 or 3 months ago, we talked about the right view. That right view that we talk about in the initial part of it is more towards how you understand things, how you reason out, how you think about them, how you learn, and so on. That one is in the beginning part. So we go into the first part of the right view. Okay. Okay, can you see the right view here? Okay. All right. Now, during in the right view that time, when we talk about the right view, when one wants to begin the development of the mind, because in the Noble Eightfold Path, in the fourth noble truth. In the fourth noble truth, the path leading to the cessation of suffering or cessation of the dukkha. When you begin to learn about how to go about Buddhism, the basic Buddhism, when you learn about the karma and the ownership of karma. Together with the ownership of karma, you learn about the Four Noble Truths, you learn about the 5 precepts, you learn about the 10 meritorious deeds, you learn about the 10 demeritorious deeds, and then many other things. You learn those things. You learn about it, and then you begin to shape your mind into development of the right view from the thinking level, and also when together with the understanding of the karma, for noble truth, 5 precepts, and so on, then only you start to begin to put into action. Then you begin to take up the 5 precepts. You be careful. You are more careful with your words. You are more careful with your actions. You are more careful with your thoughts. But before that, perhaps you don't care, don't bother. But now, with that, you are more careful with it, so it's good. Then as you practice, you develop on this one, then you come to a time that you have certain degree of faith, you want to develop some meditation. So when you want to develop some degree of meditation, then when you begin to exercise, some mindfulness, you make some effort to develop some mindfulness, then you bring about some concentration develops, and then only then it comes to the second and the third knowledge. Here there's jhana knowledge and the insight knowledge here. This is to another level that your mind has to directly experience them, not just as theory, or kind of think it out only, not just just read about it only. But this time the second and the third one is truly by experience them. So first one and the second and third one, although they are right view, there are different degree of right view. And when it comes to the fourth and fifth again, then mundane and the path and friction, then this is another level of right view. It's another level of right view altogether. Okay, so we later part we're going to see. We're going to see how this right view is being developed, and the right view is none other than that wisdom or knowledge, if you want to put it in that way. Now, when it comes to practice, when it comes to the development of the practice, these two aspects of knowledge and wisdom, for now, we need to separate them in order for us to understand how the mind works more better, clearer. In other times, when I use the word knowledge or wisdom, sometimes I just interchange. Sometimes I interchange, and many times also when you read in the suttas or even in the Abhidhamma, then this knowledge and wisdom also, they interchange. Okay, they interchange. So, but for now, is that we need to separate them in order for us to able to understand things better. Yeah. Now, knowledge here, all right, the knowledge here in the Pali word, usually we use it jnana. This is the perception. This is the right perception, and it falls under the third aggregate of perception. That means here, the perception here, what do you mean by perception? Here is the perception of anicca, dukkha, anatta. That means when we develop the vipassana, finally is for the anicca, dukkha, and anatta. And anicca, dukkha, and anatta is a perception. And how the anicca, dukkha, and anatta, when it's how you experience it, how it's being shown to you in various ways, then we call it the different insight knowledges. It's just all these insight knowledges that previously in the third noble truth, when we talk about defining the nama, rupa, we sing into the conditioning, we sing into the knowledge of arising and passing away. Those knowledge, those are perception. Because before that, our wrong perception in our everyday life, when we are not developed in the mind, then everything, our perception is we see beautiful things, we see things are pleasant, we see it as forever, we see it as permanent, we see it as a self, we see it as a personality, we see it as a soul. Those things, we see it in such a way. But with the insight, when it developed, when the right perception is developed, then it developed into anicca, dukkha, anatta, impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and non-self. And then here, wisdom. Wisdom is the mental formation. Then it belongs into the fourth aggregate. When the wisdom here, it's in the Abhidhamma, it falls under the beautiful mental factors. Sopana Cetasika, because it produces wholesome merits. And here, the wisdom here, the nature of this wisdom is to discern, to penetrate into the characteristic or the true nature of things as they really are. Penetrate into the right object so that right object will show the noting mind the true nature of the right object. And the true nature of the right object finally is just anicca, dukkha, anatta in its various ways. So the wisdom factor is the one that it's coming in to do this penetration. Later we'll talk about it a little bit more. Now, wisdom has the characteristic of penetrating things according to their intrinsic or individual essence. Here, for example, what it means by wisdom here is when it starts to penetrate, or when it starts to discriminate, or when it starts to discern things. Things here, when you're taking vipassana objects, let's say here we are taking a rupa object. Then when you take a rupa object, now when you notice the rising and falling of the abdomen, then when the wisdom is clear, when that means when your mind is noting the rising and falling clearly, therefore you see its movement. And you see its movement clearly. And when you see the movement clearly, that means you are beginning to penetrate into its individual essence, its intrinsic nature. That means there is a motion there. There's a motion there. Then as you penetrate into the nature of the motion, then sometimes you notice that the motion can go slightly faster, slightly slower. Then you begin to further to notice its individual essence, its true characteristic, its intrinsic characteristic. This is what it means here. A simple example. To begin to see the true nature of things as they really are. The word as seeing things as they really are, it's the whole insight knowledge from where you begin until enlightenment, until arahantship. This is the whole range of it. seeing things as really are. Sometimes people thought that, oh, just see things as really are, then you see everything. No, it's not like that. It's a gradual development. Yeah. So to this seeing intrinsic nature of them, is that when you begin to see into their hardness or softness or warmness or coldness, or motion or rising, falling, or the in breath, out breath, how does it move? Does it move fast? Does it move slow? Does it move straight, or does it move slightly bent? So you begin to see its intrinsic nature. The intrinsic nature also has another meaning, that when you begin to see those individual essence or intrinsic nature, when you see them, then you see them how they arises, how they stay, and how they disappear. How they come up and they sustain for a while, and how they disappear. And then further development into the intrinsic nature is that the moment they arises, the moment they disappear. That also is the intrinsic nature. That also is the individual essence also. Now this intrinsic nature, individual essence also, I may talk about it, I think, later in another talk. We're going to describe this individual essence in the further understanding. Although in one way we have covered it through the insight knowledge, when we talk about those insight knowledge, when we cover those intrinsic nature also in a certain sense. Now the function here is to eliminate the objective field like a lamp, or abolish the darkness of delusion. Here it's just like, when you come into a room, you turn on the light, then you can see things. If a light is not on, perhaps it's in a dark room, you do not see anything at all. So to our mind is the same thing. In fact, our mind see things distortedly, not just, and that distortedness is the nature of the delusion. It covers the truth. It covers the individual essence. It covers the characteristics of things as those things as they really are. The nature of delusion is just to cover them. The wisdom is completely the opposite of the delusion. So here, illuminate the objective field. It means like when you begin to see the object, you begin to see the true nature of the object, and this time it's not being covered by that delusion. So when it arises as non-delusion. Now, the proximate cause here, that means the close cause of this arising of this thing. Another one is concentration. There are two parts of it. In the Abhidhamma, it is mentioned wise attention, and in the Visuddhimagga is concerning of concentration. When you look at both of it is equally right. Wise attention here is also another word for wisdom. Wise attention here, it means that if you hear at this course, if you able to understand things clearly, at least on the theoretical level, then you can able to exercise it on the practical level. You can exercise it on the practical level. That means, for example, if like you know that we are not supposed to tell the lie, the mind knows it already. Then after that, you will stop the words from coming out from the mouth. That is also in the sense of wise attention. Now, in the sense of concentration, when it comes into the practice, here concentration and the mindfulness, it goes together, because this time concentration here, it's give some degree of calmness of the mind, and therefore when the mind is not wandering here and there into onto all kinds of nonsense, then it can able to stay with the object, and then this time the mind begins to able to penetrate what the nature of the object is. So concentration also is another one. When it comes to the noting mind, when you say when you note an object here and note that object there, when a noting mind is a group of all these mental factors coming together. So you have that mindfulness, concentration, you have vitaka, you have vichara, when you have that effort, you have, and therefore you, again, you have wisdom. Now here, when you are exercising the noting on the object, all those mental factors are doing their own job. So, for example, then when the mindfulness is there, what it does is that it brings the mind close to the object. It close to the object, or face to face to the object. Its job is just to go face to face to the object, go near to the object. Whereas the effort is to give all the other mental factors energy, so that they themselves can do their function. If the mind don't have this effort, then all other function will be they are weakened. They are weakened and therefore easily overcome by hindrances and unwholesome mental states. So the right effort here is to support, so that the mindfulness can be able to do their function. Concentration, therefore, it can able to do its function in the sense that it can hold all the associated states together in order for the wisdom. And therefore, this wisdom is the one who scrutinizes that object, analyze the object, not theoretical, but direct observation onto the true nature of the object. So its job is to do that. They have different aspect of the function when it's happening. When they are happening, and when they happen for a single moment. Everything works in that single moment. And then that single moment happen again and again and again, repeatedly again and again and again and again. And everything becomes strong. So this wisdom factor is something that we need to exercise them. Now, before we talk about the next part of it, that let us give a simple example. When there's a yogi, or when there are two yogis, two yogis can be doing vipassana meditation, but the mental states can be very different. And especially with this wisdom factor. Say, for example, if a yogi able to be mindful, but without wisdom factor, that means all the other states is there except the wisdom. Then what happened in the mind? What happened with the noting mind and the object? So during this time, for example, if they are noticing the in-breath, out-breath, let's say. They're not noticing the in-breath, out-breath. And this time, the mind can stay in the present object. Yes, it can be able to stay. It just stay there. But it's not scrutinizing the object. It's just, are you in the state of present? Yes, in the present. You are there. You're aware. It's a heightened awareness. You are aware of the in-breath, out-breath. Yeah, you're aware of it. But what happened to it? You really do not know. You just stay there only. Breath. Usually they weren't able to stay long, because when they do like that, after a while they go into sleep, they go into a lot of other thinking, because mindfulness is not strong, it's not consistent. We will not be continuous, but it's just there only. When you notice the pain, for example, how's the pain like? Yeah, got pain or not? Yeah, pain. Strong or not? The pain is strong. How is it like? Pain only. Yeah. What is there? Then you ask them to notice rising, falling, rising, falling. Got not rising, falling? Yes, rising, falling. Go up, down, rise, fall. What else is there? Nothing else is there. You're able to notice the rising longer, shorter or not? Got long and short one, man. My goodness, sometimes they ask them some simple question, but exactly because they are not exercising further scrutinizing on the object of the meditation. They are just there. And many times in yogis that I've met, although they have done some retreats before, then their observation of their object is just like that. I ask them to do walking meditation, a right step, left step, right step, left step. Their mind is there, their mind is not running away, they're there. But can you see further or not in the right step, left step? Is there any hardness or softness? Oh, you mean that one got to notice one, Bante? How come I didn't know? Oh my goodness. Sometimes in a Dhamma talk, you talk again and again and again. They just don't hear, don't listen to what you say. and this is happening especially when it comes to when individual practice. Individual interview. When it comes to individual interview, that is where when you begin to understand the different mind states of yogi when they are actually doing the practice. Although you can give them the Dhamma talk, everybody listen to the Dhamma talk. When it comes to the practice, all of them, even 30 yogis will do something different. So therefore, it's important for us to go and check each and every yogi to see whether they are actually the mind is doing the right thing or having the right constituent for the development. So to me, that is important. To me, that is important for whether the yogi progress or not. Whereas I notice as there are some teachers, they don't really care. You can see rising, falling, very good already. You can see in breath, out breath, very good already. You can walk right step, left step, very good already. Further than that, they don't ask the yogi to do anything further. Because I think, because is that previously that's what the teacher is doing also. That's what the teacher is doing too. Then only they advise the yogi to do like that. In that way only. So that way, you are mindful, but your wisdom is either not there or it's weak. And then your progress will be very slow. Okay? The other yogi is that it comes with wisdom. And when it comes to wisdom, is that it can able to scrutinize things much more further. When you give them the object of rising and falling, so pay attention to rising, falling. Take note of it. See how long, how short, what happened. Then you ask the yogi, okay, you go and sit down and go and meditate. Then, perhaps not one sitting, perhaps after 2 or 3 sittings, few sittings, maybe a few days later, then the yogis begin to able to see, this rising, falling can go right, it can go up, down. Sometimes this rising is go longer, this falling this one is shorter, and then sometimes they are the same length, sometimes they are different lengths, sometimes they are sometimes we go up, sometimes we go down rather than go forward, backward. Then also for a anapanasati practitioner, also they can notice the in-breath is long or short or fast or slow, or when one comes out longer, the other come out shorter, and one is warm, one is cold. You can able to differentiate its characteristic. That is where the yogi begin to exercise the wisdom, begin to exercise its penetration on the object. That is good because it will show that these are the fundamentals of how a yogi is going to develop further. If you don't have that quality of penetration, discerning on the object, then the yogi will not go any more further. Uh, so too when it comes in the walking meditation also, and especially for beginner practitioner, this walking meditation is so, it's so important, especially if you are doing just vipassana only and you're not doing samatha. So if you're doing vipassana only, therefore this walking meditation is crucial, especially in the beginning part of the meditation where your insight is not that deep. So here is that you have to walk, not just right step, left step, not just regular walking, but you have to slow down. And when you slow down only, then only the mind will start to become more precise in the noticing the characteristics of hardness or softness or warmness or coldness and so on. Then you have to exercise that. You have to do it again and again. And you have to, and to me, when it comes into my retreat, if you don't have, you never come to my retreat, if you're a beginner, I'm more interested sometimes in your walking meditation than in your sitting meditation. And the yogi think that the sitting is always more important than the walking, Yeah. So, because if I see that most of the yogis, if they are walking meditation, really they do it well, and they really follow the instruction, and they really try to notice the hardness, softness, they slow down, they label, they penetrate, they notice these things. All I need to do is just wait for a few more days only. Sometimes by tomorrow or the day after that, you can see the results in the sitting also already. Because as the walking meditation, you will carry to the sitting. Then because of the strong mindfulness and also strong penetration within the walking, all they need to do is carry to the sitting meditation. The object in the sitting meditation is more subtle compared to walking meditation. Walking meditation is your whole body is walking, your whole leg is moving. Therefore, when the object, at the time when we talk about the prominency of an object, the stronger, the clearer the object, then mindfulness is stronger. Mindfulness is clearer. Then that means that you can able to, in other words, penetrate the object further, scrutinize the object better. That means, other words, your mindfulness is more continuous. And if you do that, then you transfer it to your sitting meditation. Then you can see that the sitting meditation, just wait 1 or 2 or 3 days only, you can see a difference in the development of the sitting meditation. You yourself will see it. And this type of things we see it again and again in yogis. Again and again, we see it in yogis. Therefore, when a yogi sees a development in their walking and in their sitting, especially these two, then the faith, their confidence is beginning to develop. Their right confidence into the practice of vipassana begins to develop. It begins to strengthen and begins to deepen also. And the further they can able to go into it deeper, then that means they can able to stay and penetrate even more further. And of course, with the faith, it will even more mature, more clearer for them. So all we need to do is know when to push the yogi, and therefore that one comes with experience. Sometimes in the books, they don't really tell you. The books will tell you, okay, you have to do walking, you have to do sitting. But when it comes into the actual practice, then we see that for the beginner, the walking is so easy. It's much easier for the vipassana to take place. Now, wisdom. What I mentioned? Oh, yes. There are different types of wisdom. Before we go into vipassana again, then we take a look at the bigger picture of what type of wisdom that we can find, in the text, in the various texts. And then here again, the Visuddhimagga, they summarize them and to make us see things a bit more clearer. So what type of wisdom you have? They have mundane wisdom, supramundane wisdom. Just like I'll show you the back here. Five type of right view. This is mundane wisdom. This is supramundane wisdom, or mundane right view, supramundane right view. They are the same. So mundane here is worldly, and supramundane here is the path and fruition. Now, subject to taints. Here again, subject to taints, subject to asava. It means that subject to still the wisdom. I mean, that wisdom will still not able to bring you out of samsara yet. But the one that free from taints, that one belongs to arhat. Free from taints, that means those wisdom already get them out from samsara already. But the one that connected to taints, that means it's still able to produce wholesome merits in the future. Therefore, well, you are still in samsara, although you are much more happier. Subject to taints, it means it's still able to produce karma. Accompanied by joy or equanimity. Here, accompanied by joy, equanimity, this is more towards the when you are learning about Abhidhamma. But when you are experiencing it during Vipassana, sometimes when your nature of your noticing mind, when you notice something, for example, how the movement of rising, falling is moving and changing and twisting and pulling, and then you're kind of like getting very interested in that noticing. While you are noting it, but your mind is interested in what is really going on with that observation or with that object right now. So it's accompanied with joy. Accompanied with equanimity, for example, that while you are noticing the pain here, pain there, pulling here, but your mind can able to observe what is going on, how it change, how it's getting stronger, getting weaker, how it change from one pain to another pain. At that time, it accompanied with equanimity. No fun, isn't it, with the pain? Then, but your mind is still noticing it. Yes, then equanimity. So it's just a different connection. So, another one is defining nama and rupa. That means the wisdom here can able to define. That means it able to discriminate or discern. This is the mental aspect. This is the materiality aspect. That one, especially when it comes to the first insight. Now, with the first insight, as you open up the first insight, when you begin to open up this, what is nama and rupa, then you begin to open up the vipassana already. The path of vipassana is opening up already. Because all the way through, it's just nama and rupa already. In their various ways, in their various experiences that you're going to see. So the development part of this wisdom also is connected with the nama and rupa. And then the fifth one is what is being learned, what is reason, and what is direct seeing. Learn, that means you learn the karma, you learn the Four Noble Truth. Then after that, you think about the karma, you think about Four Noble Truth, or you think about, or you ponder over the 5 precepts, those things that you ponder. Direct seeing means that this one you begin to penetrate. When it comes into the mental development, you begin to see hardness, softness, arising, changing, pulling, anicca, dukkha, anatta. Then all these things is direct seeing, not just learning anymore. Most of the time, when I describe wisdom, then usually I take this number 5, because this number 5, it is important in the sense that the yogis, especially when they are coming to the meditation practice, they always fall to reasoning and learning. These two, especially reasoning, instead of direct seeing. If I don't mention this thing, sometimes yogis forget and they go into a lot of thinking about what is happening on the object rather than they're supposed to pay attention to the object. Yeah. Because this reasoning here, thinking about it, so for example, a simple example, if you just note the rising and falling, and then you see this movement, and then you start to reason out, or you start to think out, oh, this is must be wind element. What is wind element? What is the characteristic? What is the function? You begin to think out of their, begin to think out, you begin to ponder over what is going on, rather than you're supposed to pay attention to what is going on. So these things, I find that a lot of yogis, every now and then they fall into that reasoning part. And during this time, during the talks, is that I make sure that yogis know that you have to come back to the direct seeing. Although it may not be giving you so much joy, Sometimes for some people, the thinking aspect, the pondering aspect, they think about it already, they feel so pleasant, so wonderful, so nice, so enjoyable, so enticing. But they forget about the direct seeing part of it. So this part here is important for us, especially in the yogi part. Then you have limited, you have exalted, you have measureless object. Limited here means that the wisdom connected to the sensual spheres. In a sense that it connected to the seeing, smelling, tasting, touching, your everyday environment thing. So this is limited here. Exalted here, that means the wisdom is connected with the jhanas. Here there are two jhanas, is the material jhana and immaterial jhana. The 1, 2, 3, 4, it's a material jhana, and the 5, 6, 7, 8, the immaterial jhana. This is fall under the exalted. Measureless object means nibbana. Measureless object means nibbana. So how the wisdom is connected to the central senses, sense bases throughout our everyday life, all connected with our exalted object, that means to the jhanas, and measureless object towards the nibbana. Now, in the development of in development of samatha meditation, as I said, there are certain degree of wisdom too. Now, the wisdom here, when you develop the samatha meditation, is that perhaps you can see that when is actually a learning object, when is the learning sign, and when is the counterpart sign. In the beginning development of samatha, this learning and counterpart, you are just passing through something very gradual, and then and then further into development of the jhana. But whereas when your wisdom is powerful later on, when your wisdom is powerful, then that learning sign is that obvious. Then after that, counterpart sign also is that obvious, as if there's a jump in that clarity, not just a gradual clarity. Then also when it comes into the fixed concentration, when it comes into the jhana itself, then also again there's a jump in concentration. Then there's a kind of a distinct aspect of it when only your wisdom is clear. But if the wisdom is not clear, everything is just, it's not as clear, but you're still able to develop jhana, but things are just going into very smoothly. You cannot define the different aspect of it. So this one perhaps also comes with a lot of practice. Comes with a lot of practice, and also your faculty of your wisdom also must be powerful. So jhana also got its own wisdom also, but that type of wisdom does not bring you out of samsara. That type of wisdom, it helps you to get the jhana, this jhana, that jhana, and also towards the supernormal powers also, the abhinya too. So we don't go into that too much. Then the seventh one also is in a way important. Detrimental improvements and the means of them. The means means it can be detrimental and also it can be for improvement also. Let's talk about improvement first. Improvement means here, for example, you know that meditation is good. You know that Vipassana is good. You have learned about Vipassana. You learn Vipassana. You have to how to do this, how to do that, how to So this is what you mean by improvement. You understand that this is wholesome, and you're going to make an effort to bring about it. It means that you actually know how to bring that part in. That means you develop. Let's say you want to develop Vipassana. Then you say that, oh yes, I must develop the mindfulness first. Mindfulness is very important. Then also I must able to scrutinize my object thoroughly and clearly and precisely. That one I have to know. But then if you don't have the means to do it, you don't know how to do it, then everything is just theory only. That means everything you know that this is important, but you don't have the skills in the development, the actual development of it. So the means here, it means that you must have the skills. It means that, for example, how to do the walking meditation, how to do the sitting meditation, how to do the daily activities meditation, how to be mindful in this one, how to be mindful in that one, how to note the pain, how when you're supposed to drop an object, when you're supposed to take up an object, when you're supposed to note the mind, how you should note the mind, in what way you should note the mind. This is what we call means, the skills in it also. That means that also is it's a kind of a wisdom also. So the improvement part is that you understand that you need to improve this one, at least on theory, but then the means you must know how to do it too. Detrimental doesn't mean that you have to do it, Wisdom about detrimental here, what it means that you know that something is unwholesome. You know that those things are unwholesome, and you know the way towards the detrimental part of the of your mind and of your actions, of your speech and so on. Then you know how to go about it also, and also you know how to prevent them. So you know that detrimental, you know that this is unwholesome. You know how to, what are the causes for all these things to happen, and also you know how to prevent yourself, the skills how to prevent yourself from going into the detrimental aspect of it. So this is what it means here. The knowledge of the Four Truths also, that means you have to able to define the Four Noble Truths, at least theoretical aspect. But when it comes to the Vipassana aspect, it comes into the deeper development. And actually, you can see the Four Noble Truths as an insight. That means it comes in as a knowledge, not just something that you learn, And when it comes to number 9 and also number 8, the 4 discriminative knowledge. Last week I thought I want to share it a bit more further, but maybe another talk. But I'll give you a gist of it. This 4 analytical knowledge, it is for those who have a faculty of wisdom which is powerful. And it belongs also to a trainer and a non-trainer. That means non-trainer here means an arahant, a sekha. Then the sekha is a trainer. That means we are for sotapanna, sakadagami, or anagami. It belongs to them. With those with the more powerful in their wisdom. If your wisdom is not powerful, then you don't have this analytical knowledge, although you may be enlightened, yeah, but you may not have this four analytical knowledge. Now, this four analytical knowledge or four discriminative knowledge or patisambhida, the Pali word is patisambhida. Now, here is that the first one is that knowledge of the effect. Knowledge of the effect. If you put it in a way, another day I'll write it down. Your knowledge about the effect. The second one is that your knowledge about the cause of it. The third one is that the knowledge about the right words that is connected to the first and the second one. First and the second one. The right words, the right speech, how you're going to connect the first and the second one. And the fourth one is that the knowledge that you're able to put which one is the cause, which one is the effect. Which one is the cause and which one is the effect. Because you see, what is the first one is that the knowledge of the cause is that you can, the knowledge of the effect, sorry, the first one is knowledge of the effect, is that the knowledge of the effect means that when you notice an object, say for example, you notice the rising and falling. Now you notice that the rising and falling is getting tighter, you're getting tense. Then you see the effect already. Now you see the effect that it is getting tense right now. You notice that how tense. Knowledge of the cause is that you see that what is happening before that, or what is happening at the background, it is causing that rising and falling to be tense. You see a connection. Perhaps, for example, you begin to notice that the pain is arising at the background. And you notice that the pain is arising at the background. Then you notice that the rising and falling, it becomes tense up. So you can able to notice the cause or the effect of the rising and falling. And you begin to notice the cause that is affecting the rising and falling, for example. So knowledge of the cause, knowledge of the effect. Now this one I give you quite a simple description of it. Then the knowledge of the words. Now in the Abhidhamma, this one it says that you're able to understand the words of the Buddha. But I think that this third knowledge is something to do with what you notice direct seeing. Although in the description in the what is this the third knowledge, it is mentioned that if you learn about the Dhamma, the Pali words and so on, then it is said that you already have the third analytical knowledge. I don't think so in that sense. I think that it is connected with the direct seeing, and how when you're direct seeing, then you have the right words to describe that, those whether it's cause or effect. The fourth one is knowledge of how you put in which one is the cause and which one is the effect. Because sometimes, you see, in the Nama and Rupa, the dynamics of the changes and the conditioning of the Nama Rupa, they are very fluid. They are not stationary. Although just now earlier on we says that okay, the pain arises as a cause. Now the tension is the effect right now. But on another occasion or short while later, that tension of the stomach, that tension of the rising and falling, it begins to affect the tension in the body right now. Then that tension of the rising and falling is become the cause. Then the effect right now is that the body is feeling the strain, the body is feeling the tightness, or the body feeling the tension right now. So now the rising, falling becomes the cause, and that one begins the effect right now. So things change. So when you come to the fourth one, then you know where to put, which one to put. So this is what we call analytical knowledge. You want to know how this analytical knowledge, sometimes you read on the suttas and how some of the disciples, even the layperson, which is enlightened, they even have this analytical knowledge also. And that one, how they question, how they put the question, how they answer the question is very clear and very precise. That it shows that they have this analytical knowledge. Now, it is said that this analytical knowledge, it is no more after 1,000 years of the Buddha Sasana. We're already 2,500, 2,600 years, the Buddha Sasana. But does not mean that this analytical knowledge is totally covered up. It's still, I think it's still there, but it's in a weakened form. Well, you call it powerful. I don't think it's that powerful, but I think it's still in a weakened form. There are still yogis that are able to have this analytical knowledge. Yeah. Now, some of the analytical knowledge, perhaps a yogi can see also. For example, it's like, take for example, when you look at 7 factors of enlightenment, let's say 7 factors of enlightenment, then why don't it's not 8 factors of enlightenment? Why not 6 factors of enlightenment? Why not it's not 10 factors of enlightenment? You think that these factors of enlightenment, let's say the 7 factors of enlightenment, they are not something that the Buddha sit down and then they start thinking about it, and then, suddenly 7 factors of enlightenment come out. No, it's not like that. 7 factors of enlightenment is a direct knowledge that when the Buddha see into it, that is what are the factors of enlightenment, then the insight shows them there are 7 factors there. And the 7 factors there, and then sometimes people think, how come there's no faith inside there? Faith, isn't it important? The saddha, why is it important? How come it's not inside there? It's not by how you reason out those things. These are experienced by the analytical knowledge that you can see these 7 factors of enlightenment. Why is it 4 noble truths? Then sometimes you all may listen to some talks and because the first noble truth is caused by the second noble truth, and then the third and the fourth. Then you reason out. It's not by reasoning. It's by the 4 noble truths. Is because that when the Buddha see it, it is 4. It is not 5. It's not 6. It's not 3. It is insight, and that is a form of discriminative knowledge. When it comes to why got 5 faculties, why got 5 spiritual powers, and again, all these things is seen by that insight, not by thinking about it, not by reading about it. Yeah. So, in other words, the 4 noble truths in this Buddha, in the next Buddha, in the previous Buddha, they will see it because it is an insight, it's a knowledge. It's an analytical in that sense. This is not just your insight into nama, rupa, this and all that thing. This is one thing, but this one is totally another thing. So this one, it belongs to those people who has the faculty of wisdom is sharp. Well, another thing is that how come you can able to see the 17 consciousness of the mind when it's connected to the rupa? How are you going to see all this consciousness? That is when you are listening to when you are learning the Abhidhamma, they tell you how many consciousness is there. How are you going to see those things? And again, all these things comes with the analytical state of mind. The wisdom is very sharp. They can see each and every of this consciousness. That's why they can able to describe to you. But if we are not there yet, then don't go and exercise all those things. It's you're wasting your time. But in order for us to develop it, all this from without wisdom into enlightenment, then we need to start off with something easy, something simple, and something effective, efficient. efficient and effective in order for us to get out of this samsara. And we start off with this mindfulness and clear comprehension. So the next on Wednesday we'll talk about it on this mindfulness and clear comprehension. Today is more of an introductory onto the wisdom part. The next one is more towards the practical part and see how we're going to build up from there. Okay, so we stop here for tonight.